Okay, so when you think of Frankenstein, what comes to mind? Probably lightning bolts, neck bolts, the whole shebang, right? Well, let's forget all that for a minute, because the real story of Frankenstein is way more than a simple ghost story. It's this timeless and honestly pretty deep warning about human ambition and what happens when that ambition goes horribly, horribly wrong. So let's dive in and do our own little autopsy here.
This is it. This is the question that beats at the absolute heart of Mary Shelley's novel. And really, it's a question for all of us, isn't it? It's about creation, it's about rejection, and it's about the terrifying consequences of trying to play God without being willing to accept the burdens that come with it.
To really get this tragedy, we're going to look at it as a cascade of failure, like a step-by-step collapse from this incredible spark of genius into just total, heartbreaking ruin. And to help us navigate this, we're going to use some ideas from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche as our guide.
So everything starts right here. And it doesn't start with evil. Nope. It begins with this powerful creative spark, a fundamental human drive that kicks this whole tragedy into motion.
Now, when you hear Nietzsche's phrase will to power, it's easy to think of, tyranny or domination. But that's not it at all. For him, it's this amazing internal engine. It's the creative spark that drives us to grow, to build, to achieve, and to smash through our limitations. It's the raw energy behind all of human greatness.
And check this out. Both Victor Frankenstein and his creation are just overflowing with this will to power. I mean, Victor's ambition is off the charts. He wants to conquer death itself. And his creation? It's born with that exact same energy, like a flowing river that's just desperate to connect, to learn, and to figure out its place in the world. They both start from the exact same creative impulse. But this is where the cascade begins to fracture. It's the critical turning point where that brilliant spark crashes head-on into a catastrophic moral failure. This is where it all starts to go wrong.
You could say Victor had the ambition to be what Nietzsche called an Übermensch, or a Superman. But here's the part he missed, and it's the most important part. Being an Übermensch isn't just about raw power. It's about having the moral strength to create your own values, and crucially, to take absolute, unwavering responsibility for what you bring into the world. You have to nurture what you create.
And what does Victor do? Well, he had the power of a god, but the backbone of a coward. Instead of nurturing his creation, he's just disgusted by it. He commits the ultimate act of what you could call ethical cowardice. He creates, and he runs away.
So you see what happened. Victor is this higher man who makes it all the way to the summit of knowledge, but he completely stumbles. He just doesn't have the moral backbone to face the messy, chaotic, and kind of ugly reality of the life he created. He despises the physical thing in front of him, and by doing that, he runs away from his most important responsibility.
And this brings us right to the edge of the abyss. Because what happens to all that powerful energy, that will to power, when it gets completely and utterly rejected? Well, it doesn't just disappear. It curdles, it turns toxic, and it mutates into a conscious, philosophical kind of revenge.
Nietzsche had a name for this psychological poison, resentment. It's this deep, vengeful bitterness that grows when your core energy, your will, is blocked. The person who's been rejected starts to build a whole new moral universe in their head, one where their oppressors are labeled evil, and their own suffering becomes this twisted badge of honor.
You can literally watch this happen to the creature, step by step. He starts as that flowing river of energy, but right away, he smashes into this massive dam of fear and rejection. A dam built first by Victor and then by everyone else. And that powerful energy has nowhere to go. So it turns inward, it goes toxic. And what's born from that? A spirit of pure, calculated revenge.
And this is so important to get. The creature's violence isn't just mindless rage, it's a conscious choice. It's a philosophical response to being rejected by the entire world. He basically decides that if he can't inspire love, well, then he's going to inspire fear. He builds a whole new worldview from his own pain.
Victor's failure was bad enough, but the society around him just made everything worse. Nietzsche called this the age of the last man, a culture that is obsessed with comfort, security, and a life with zero risks. These are people who run away from anything that's different or challenging. Their fear wasn't just passive, it was an active force that helped seal the creature's fate for good.
And so, where does all this lead? It leads to the final death spiral. The creator and his creation, who started out so different, end up as these horrific reflections of one another.
Just look at this.
They become these twisted mirror images. Victor completely devolves into a monster of neglect and just pathetic self-pity, obsessed with destroying the thing he made. And the creature? He solidifies into a monster of pure, philosophical vengeance, completely consumed by the injustice of it all.
It's the perfect, tragic fulfillment of that famous warning from Nietzsche. In their obsessive, destructive chase, they both become the very thing they're trying to destroy. So here's the main takeaway. The horror of Frankenstein isn't random. It's not a ghost story. It's the logical, almost mathematical result of a simple, terrifying equation. You take monumental ambition, you subtract moral responsibility, and the result is a monster, every time.
And that leaves us with this huge, lingering question, one that's maybe even more relevant today than it was 200 years ago. As we keep pushing the boundaries of science, of AI, of technology, are we remembering to do the second, much harder part? Is any great ambition, if it's not paired with an equally great sense of responsibility, just a monster waiting for its moment to be born?